podcast is 7 reasons why outlines are more liberating as plans are unrealized limitations. As I'm awakening aware of the dare, outlines spark progress where plans stall. Outlines invite exploration for expansion and awakens fluid understanding for the here and now, adaptability. So you can go with the flow, and when something out of the ordinary occurs, you got the courage to question it, listen to it, and rise out of it. While rigid plans often cling to control, stifle innovation, and crumble when the unexpected arrives. How have you made a plan and had it really detailed, and then when something when the universe, spirit, or whatever the mystical sources of the universe throw a curveball, you get all flustered and out of whack and get mad? And all that is when something like that occurs, that's an awakening to rise you out of the situation because you hit the limit on where you were at. So when you open up to understand, outlines are divine, plans are bland. So why outlines are divine as plans are bland? Outlines breathe with vision. They tune into flow and insight, where rigid plans flatten creativity into obligation and objection. Outlines invite co-creation with the unknown, as outlines leave space for brilliance to arrive, where plans often block what they never expected. I've been on many jobs and we say, well, if we did this or we did that, and we got this tool or this something, it would be easier. That's not in the budget and that's not in the plan. Well, by not getting the tool and not by doing that, it cost them $5,000 instead of $500. How do plans steal money? That's the thing, and take money and innovation away. Because when you say that's not in the plan, you shut somebody down, that takes their will to participate away. And I've witnessed that on many things. So that is what I understand about why plans are bland, or outlines are divine and plans are bland. And outlines invite innovative partnerships with the unknown. Outlines leave the space for brilliance to arrive, where plans often block everything they didn't expect. It's kind of like jazz versus classical music. One sticks to the score, the other one riffs with style. As anything goes awry, management gets uptight and stuck on being right within the plan. Uncertainty threatens authority. Have you witnessed that? I have. When uncertainty arrives and you give them an idea, it's kind of like when you're talking to somebody and you're giving them the ideas, and that's why they got a pointed chin and a flat forehead, because when you're giving the ideas to them, they're going like this. Then when you give them the pathway of enlightenment, they go like that. That's why they got a flat forehead. But uncertainty makes management upset, or anybody's got the plan. As managers double down on being right to preserve and control credibility, because they always want to look good in somebody else's eyes. That is 2 failures. When you're trying to look good in somebody else's eyes, the one you're leaving out is yourself. Have I done that? Yes, many times. Air breaks the illusion of order, optimizing rad, dexterous, enterprising, revolutionary, accomplished outcomes. As seeing the surprises as awakening experiences, as rigid leadership treats them as failures, forcing defensiveness and over discovery. And see, when a plan goes awry, whoever wrote the plan gets very defensive, and that they really is afraid to admit there's an awakening in front of them. See, there's never a mistake. It's an awakening, expansion, It's always for your highest good to move forward, but however, it gets that old egotistical arrogance involved, and then, oh my God. Why plans and structure are unrecognized limitations. Structure can lock you into yesterday's thinking and knowing and the way you did everything. When the map is too detailed, you stop looking at the landscape. You stop looking at whatever you're doing. Let's say you're building a building, you're not looking at the way the building is to see a better way. Because no matter how big your plan is or how good everything is, there's one sentence to say at the end of it. Is there a better way? And there's always a better way. It's like the mousetrap. There's always a better mousetrap. And when you stop looking and questioning the landscape or whatever it is, you get stuck in the muck of yesterday. Then you get stuck in the yuck of yourself, and that's the bigger one. And when you stop looking and miss the opportunity, that means you miss the opportunity and stale solutions that plans have within them. Plans often outspace reality. Life evolves faster than blueprints. Clinging to structure can bind you to better, blind you to the better way and more timely paths that weren't visible when the plan was made, because the plan is drawn on paper in an office. The experience is where the building is or whatever it is, and that's going to show you the better way. Whatever's going on in your life, the physical world will show you a better way when you listen, question, and observe. Not being stuck in your stinking mind. Because a mind is a bind. Liberation is liberating invitations. Boldly expanding revolutionary acumen. And see, that's the thing. A plan was made probably a year and a half, and life don't stop when a blueprint's made. Life keeps going, and there's better ways. And also, the people coming into, let's say you're building a building, the people coming in, they also have been all over the country. Well, for like electricians, they've been all over the country and seen a lot of things where management hasn't. If you're willing to listen, you're willing to rise, shine, and expand. But if you think you know it all, you're stuck in a stall of sabotage. And here's 7 punchy the one-liners that are core inspiration. Why outlines are liberating and plans are unrealized limitation. Outlines adapt. Plans resist. Outlines breathe. Plans box in. Outlines evolve. Plans assume. Outlines explore and expand as plans enforce the rigid thinking and know-it-all ignorance of the situation. Outlines invite insight, plans guard certainty. Outlines move with expansion, plans fear. Outlines empower flow of energy and expansion, plans demand control. And see, that's the thing about a plan. You're trying to control the situation that is already out of control. That's one thing about when the guy says, that's not in the plan. And we was working, we was doing a job up in Quincy, and we was doing something they had a tool to do it better, and the guy says they didn't make it. Well, what was funny about that is we used the same tools with that company on another job. Management would rather be right than do something that makes the job easier and go faster. I've witnessed that so many times. And it's really fun because we have a saying in the electrical trade, when you want to screw it up, put management in charge. And that's the truth. Why plans and structure are mindset limitation. Rigid plans anchor you to assumptions and negative illusions. When you commit too early, you crowd out room for curiosity, serendipity, and evolving insight. Structure can be a comfort zone programming in disguise. It feels safe, but subtly resists change and expansion, and stalling bold moves and unexpected breakthroughs. We are the only ones holding ourselves back. No matter what we're doing, we're the ones holding ourselves back, whatever that is. And when you're looking outside and you're blaming the outside world for your life, you're you're uh, you're missing out on your breakthroughs and on your bliss. Why indoctrinated education teaches restrictive vocabulary and constrictive systems controlling people. Standardized education narrows expression by enforcing approved terms and frameworks. It limits how people think, speak, and innovate outside the norm. Constrictive systems reward compliance over creativity. When the goal is to fit the mold, questioning mold becomes taboo. How many times have you questioned management and they come up or threaten to fire you? Or they threaten to do something? Because management would rather be right and have everything done their way than discover a better way. And that is what happens. Why bosses that is not in the when bosses say that's not in the plan to save their ass. Because when a boss says it ain't in the plan, that means they don't want to go talk to somebody above them. And they want to make themselves look good by making the plan work. And I've seen that a bunch. Plans become a shield, never a strategy. Some bosses lean on the plan to dodge accountability, using it as a safe excuse rather than adapting with ownership. Or telling the management or the higher ups, hey, this ain't going to work. We got to do something different. And then they're afraid of being in trouble, but they're really afraid of is losing their job and getting demoted. They'd rather struggle and let somebody struggle and they struggle than find a better way. And the favorite one that's out of the scope becomes a power move, rejecting fresh ideas or innovation that expands them, that helps them preserve control and avoid blame. That's what they really are. They always want to push the blame and preserve control. My favorite one is when a company has financial challenges and it's going and having severe challenges, financial cash flow, they blame the workers. That's my favorite. The workers never made one choice. Well, could we go faster? Did they set it up to go faster? Anything that happens in the field, management's responsible. Did they get the tools? Did they get this? And a lot of them will starve the tools and material, thinking they're getting something good. And the more, I used to say this when I was on a job and I was either a foreman or a steward. I'd say, you take the walk, you take the talk. But if you make them walk the length of the building to get parts, a 5-minute, 10-minute walk turns into a 30-minute walk because, well, they're just like everybody else. They like to stand around and talk. They're not robots. And that's the trouble with the world. They think the workforce is robots. Well, that's why they're going to robots. But you know what? Them robots never buy their products. It's something you want to remember, all you higher up. The more technology, the less buyers you have for your product. As plans often echo yesterday's certainty, they fix attention on predefined steps, leaving little room for today's fresh possibilities, ideas, and wisdom. As outlines shape vision into a checklist instead of expanding thoughts, plans that can shrink focus to fit what's already expected. Why plans, college education, and business education create stubbornness, hard-headedness, and rigid mindsets afraid of anything outside of the plan. Traditional education trains for predictability, never possibility. When success is built on formulas and fixed outcomes, minds grow risk adverse. They're afraid of risk and allergic to ambiguity, because life is ambiguity on the move, and it is. Life is free flowing confusion. And that's what it is. But we're afraid of the confusion because we don't understand. Confusion is showing us where to expand, and confusion is raw wisdom, insight, and clarity. Plans and academic models often glorify control. They teach mastery over variables, not comfort with volatility, making anything uncharted feel like a failure instead of a frontier to unleash your debonair flair of foresight, luminary acuity, invigorating revolutionary outcomes. Why outlines give you structure without handcuffs. See, everything, structure is handcuffs, basically. You're handcuffed to what it says, and you're attached to what it says because, well, I went to school and they said I have to follow the plan. How is your education your limitation? That's my favorite question. Outline sets the stage, never the script. They guide your story without dictating every scene, giving you the freedom to improvise and rise out of any situation while staying grounded to trust your abilities. And this is the question, why outlines give you structure without that. Outlines offer a compass, not a cage. They point the way but let you choose the route. They sketch the frame without nailing it shut. Structure is there, but flexibility reigns. Outlines whisper this way, not only this way. They support spontaneity without sacrificing directions. Why egotistical arrogance, know-it-all ignorance make plans and structure inflexible. I know one guy that's been inflexible in his life when it comes to doing stuff. That'd be me. Every time I got stubborn, my lunch got eaten. When ego writes the plan, it leaves no space for correction or maneuverability. Certainty becomes a trap, not a strength. Know-it-all thinking turns structure into scripture instead of a tool for progress. It becomes a monument to one person's unchecked assumptions. Opens up to why plans and structure with people having to be right and look good in other people's eyes limit the flow of the plan. Wonder who that would be. Would be me. When looking good matters more than growing wiser, plans become performances tailored for approval instead of adaptability and for a high velocity outcome. The need to be right locks the plan into ego's vault. Feedback feels like a threat, not fuel, never fuel. Stalling progress where flow should thrive. Under flow, you feel thrive and alive inside to rise, shine, and enjoy your endeavoring experiences. Why defined outlines or divine dexterity streaming the highest outcomes? Defined outlines act like an agile scaffolding, light yet steady. They flex with insight and pivot with purpose, keeping visions fluid and results focused with the highest outcome. As they channel clarity without confinement, directing creative flow with just enough form to elevate momentum into mastery. While liberating wisdom rises people out of cognitive recollective mindsets, out of cognitive recollections and mindset resistance and comfort zone programming. Outlines release you from the loop of memory. Because thinking really comes from memory. They invite fresh synchronicity and savvy to rise out of the situation instead of recycling familiar thoughts, sparking original insight beyond mental habits. See, that's what a lot of people, when you get into the thinking, knowing, you're in the mental habits of what you've always done. And when you have an out of the ordinary experience, the mental habit is your limitation and trying to hold you into what you've always done. Outlines loosen the grip of comfort zone logic by mapping direction without dictating detail. Outlines awaken intuitive flow where rigid patterns used to rule. Why outlines are adaptive leadership that intuitively raises chaos into opportunity. Outlines provide flexible vision. They guide without griping, or allowing leadership to shape chaos into clarity while staying agile in the moment to rise and to the highest outcome of the situation. As outlines turn unpredictability into playgrounds by framing intention without restriction, outlines empower leaders to seize the surprise as a spark, not a setback. It's something I've understood, and outlines are very, very open to expansion. When you stop being stuck in the muck of your thinking memory mind, you unbind your divine trailblazer tenacity to color the world your way. But that is something, when somebody says, I've been on many of the plans say this ain't the plan, this ain't our scope of work. Well, then you get done, it's about 7/10 done, and it's way up in the top of the ceiling. Somebody's going back up there to finish what they wouldn't do. And that's the situation they do. So if you make a defined outline, and see, something about an outline you can't do with a plan. Something I want to open it up to, and I understand now, is the sense of smell can go in an outline. A plan has no variation for that. Smell is the strongest sensory thing we have, because smell goes directly to the brain. You can say, I smell the seashores of success, and your subconscious mind, all of it within your inner landscape, can latch onto it. But always understand, outlines are divine, plans are bland, and they keep you stuck in the muck of yourself, and they keep you stuck in that overthinking mind that binds you into all the rhetoric of yesterday. But as an outline opens unfathomable, trend-setting, luminary intuition, now enjoying today as my heavenly heyday. I am Robert Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom, Hypnoacuity, and Cowboy Wisdom Podcast, and may your life be as blessed as you are a blessing to me in the world.